ship brought me back. I told you she won't let me leave. She won't let anyone leave. Did you really think you could destroy this ship? She's defied space and time. She's been to a place you couldn't possibly imagine. And now, it is time to go back.
I know. To hell.
You know nothing. Hell is only a word. Reality is much, much worse. Let me show you. They're not dead. Not yet.
This is Tim.
This is Jonathan.
And this is The Average Podcast. We are joined today by two of our friends from the Nightclub Podcast. I have Travis and Ricky with me tonight.
Woo woo.
Go ahead and say
Nightclub
hello.
in the house, cuh.
Yeah.
Howdy, partner.
This episode is a long time in the making. I think we posted about it a long time ago and Travis messaged me, and it's taken us a while to get it on the calendar, but it's finally here. We're talking about Event Horizon from 1997.
Oh, yeah, boy.
I'll event your horizon.
Time to get cosmic, cuh. Slip into the void and float there cosmically.
That's a very eventful horizon you got there. Shame if someone cosmicked inside of it.
Spreading them stars around deep in there. Jonathan has an amazing
matter.
Yeah, he's got the dark matter in his vocal cords. I can hear that.
Yeah, he does.
I like
Yeah,
that.
baby.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Get saucy with it.
If you think that wasn't part of why I asked him to join the
you
show,
want to get deep, boy? I'll show you.
How deep does that voice go? Yeah, we had the same thought at the same time.
Ricky, I think
Boy,
we're
I'll show
slowly
you how to
becoming
put
the
on
same
some
person.
makeup and make some real
Probably,
yeah. You want some Texas tough nuggets in your chili, boy?
Are you from Texas?
No, I just happen to live here. I moved here 2 years ago from the northwest purpose of Chicago because of my job.
Oh, you got one of them
Right on.
Chicago jabs.
Yeah, but I actually grew up in southeast Arkansas, so very regional dialect.
Hell yeah. You didn't
I'm a
say you're
Midwesterner.
Southern boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Indiana my whole life.
Well, for the audience, I mean, they know us both by now. They know me and Ricky.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You've been around.
Yeah. I'm
Yep,
like the
we
villain.
made a
the
little
village.
pass.
So loose with your podcast, are you?
You're just a regular guest at this point. So,
I'm
But
good
we
with
are still special.
Yeah.
of course,
So
you're
special.
special regular guests.
it.
You're better than the other regular guests.
Oh, shit.
Hey,
Ricky,
shots fired.
Ricky, we're going to be the most favorite beloved special guests on somebody else's show for once.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Our time has come.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have arrived.
We're in the spotlight.
This movie originally was supposed to be called like To the Stars, My Destination, and I'm so glad that fucking Paul Anderson.
That's too much.
That sounds like
Wes
an
Anderson.
entirely different
So
film.
mouthy.
That doesn't sound like what I watched at all. To the Stars.
No.
It sounds like someone was trying to be like highfalutin or something, and it's like, no, dude, no.
That's if Wes Anderson made it. That's what he would have called
Yeah, the Wes Anderson sci-fi horror film.
That's true.
It sound To the Stars is actually the name of Tom DeLonge's like alien production company.
Oh yeah, dude. Tom DeLonge, he's out there doing the goddamn thing. He's trying to.
He told us in 1998 that aliens were real, and I believe him. So
I don't know who Tom DeLonge.
You don't know who Tom DeLonge is? Blink 182.
Oh, that Tom. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I was gonna say I like his name though. It's
Where are you? And I'm so sorry.
I cannot sleep. I cannot eat tonight.
Yeah, that's him.
The Average Karaoke Night.
Hey, I was a fan of his other band, Angels and Airwaves.
Angels and Airwaves, yeah.
Yeah, dude. That was my jam. That first album, that was my jam.
Yep. The first three. I love the first three of them. All great stuff. But speaking of taking Angels and Airwaves out into space, we're gonna do this cosmic horror film. So the story, we're gonna dive in. You guys got your scores ready?
No, not. I need to go look at.
Although I will say, I had a totally different title in mind after rewatching this movie.
I have multiple titles for this film, so let's go. This film, Hellraiser in space. That's
exactly what I was gonna fucking say. Wow.
That is one of my alternate titles. The other one,
fucking mouth.
The other one is Event Horizon, the Warhammer prequel.
Yeah,
when they discover the warp and it corrupts everybody with chaos. It's fantastic.
The dark age of technology.
Yep.
Shit. I don't know. Yeah.
Did Travis pick up on that since you've been getting in your Warhammer lore?
Well, I'm not gonna front. I actually did research on the movie. I'd never done research on this film prior to this. Well, I usually deep dive certain things, but this one I just never did. I was like, oh, Event Horizon, it's dope. I knew about the lost footage because I heard about it, in the ether. But in doing research, I read that some people consider this an unofficial prequel. And I sent Ricky that note this morning, like, dude, look at this. He was like, bruh, I know. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Yes. This movie makes me genuinely excited for what could become reality for Warhammer stuff on screen. Because if this is just a taste of it, man, we could get some awesome stuff. But yeah, the story of Event Horizon, it's a science fiction horror film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Best Anderson.
Also directed the first live-action Mortal Kombat movie. Woo woo.
Oh. Yeah. The story follows a rescue crew sent to investigate the reappearance of a spaceship called the Event Horizon, which disappeared into a black hole and mysteriously reappeared with something sinister aboard. As the crew delves deeper into the ship's dark secrets, they confront their own inner demons and face unimaginable horrors. So this story... Thoughts, gentlemen. Open conversation. Let's go.
Well, it's cosmic.
Very.
It's got haunted house vibes.
Super creep. Oh yeah.
According to the average breakdown, how unique, compelling, and original is the story? Based on its hodgepodge nature. And again, I did do some research, but just from watching the movie, we all know it's got Hellraiser vibes out the ass.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So much.
That's what I love about it.
It's also got haunted house stuff going on. The way that the ship is designed and the way they use the lighting. So this is the part that I didn't know because I've never seen this movie. This movie was really influenced by Solaris from 1972.
Interesting.
And, Paul Anderson said that was his biggest inspiration for the film, and it's because throughout that movie the main character starts to see ghostly figures on the spaceship that he's on, and I guess that has in this movie we see a bunch of apparitions and whatnot. So
that's just an interesting perspective because I did not think haunted house. But hearing you explain it that way, I'm like, yes, 100%. That's what's going on.
Absolutely. Everyone's past is coming back to haunt them, man. It's rad.
Yeah, dude. it also had influences from The Shining, according to some of the stuff I read, and that makes one of the scenes in particular where blood starts filling up like the shafts and pouring
and
out
the
everywhere.
vat, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that fucking vat of that's liquid mercury. Let's explain this contraption for a second. The ship itself and what's going on in this movie. This doctor is going with this entire crew over by Neptune, where they're picking up distress signals from the Event Horizon, a ship that this doctor, played by Sam Neill, designed. And on this thing, you had said, Tim, it got sucked into a black hole. It got sucked up into its own self because the contraption he made, this graviton amplifier, is a black hole generator, basically. It's the thing that discovers the fucking warp.
Yes.
And it's a practical effect, which
it is. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's pretty rad. I did not expect to hear that.
That was obnoxious.
Oh, sorry.
This is not the nightclub. It's like 3 rotating rings, and I don't know what the fuck the center is made out of, but he describes it in the movie. I like that scene where he Christopher Nolan lifted this right out of this movie where Sam Neill explains how to fold space-time, and he takes that pinup girl and sticks a pin through the paper after folding it to like explain how the spaceship will warp the space-time, appear from one place and go into another. Nolan did that shit in Interstellar in 2014. He completely lifted that scene from the Bess Anderson.
Yeah, I was actually well, you brought it up. That scene, I was going to talk about that scene in the script. Like, that scene is just sharp. It is written so well and illustrates what's going on, what this machine does so well. In a lot of, I feel like sometimes this horror sci-fi genre can be kind of vague in its descriptions, leave more to the imagination. This one, it does not. It's very clear on what this thing is supposed to do, and it makes sense. Like, the physics of it sound, from my limited knowledge of physics, that, like you were saying, I was also reading that the original design for the machine was to have this like almost liquid like ball in the center and have robotic arms around it. But he was actually inspired by the puzzle box from Hellraiser. More for that gothic architecture type look to the machine.
Makes a lot of sense.
So it makes a lot of sense that he was influenced by Hellraiser. For sure.
Sorry, I went into the design of that contraption so early on. I know that that's going to probably come up later in the effects and stuff. But
that's okay.
Structure, Travis.
It's just one of my favorite parts of the story is how that machine works, the explanation of it. And I did want to make note that one of the best living directors totally aped off this movie. So that'll come up later too. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So breaking it down for the story, I do think it's fairly original, while also being, like you said, there's a lot of influence from other films, kind of bringing it together in a way I haven't seen before. I'll be honest, the sci-fi horror realm is not one I'm part of that frequently. It's not something I enjoy it, but it's not a favorite of mine. I don't go back to it over and over again. So I couldn't tell you if it's like a lot of other things. The only other one that comes to mind that I've seen in recent memory was the movie Sunshine with, I believe, Cillian Murphy's in that one. But
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I don't really get into sci-fi horror that much, so this was kind of new to me. But watching it, I'm like, yeah, I feel like a lot of sci-fi movies are this whole kind of discovering something out in space that is either terrifying or mostly terrifying.
It naturally lends itself to cosmic horror, like the space setting. I mean, it's almost, it goes part and parcel. Y'all mentioned Hellraiser in space, and that's funny because Hellraiser, I think it's called Bloodline, Part 4 came out before this movie, and it actually is Hellraiser in space.
Oh yeah, isn't that the one? Isn't that the one with Superman in it? Henry Cavill's in.
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah,
that one's it's a rough watch, man. It's not one of the better Hellraiser films.
It's rough, but it's also very lofty in its goals, because I mean, like, it's a period piece. It's like 3 different time settings. It's a mess, but I kind of dig it. I kind of like that mess.
Got its own quirky charms that draw you in.
Sure.
Yeah. Based on prior watches, I remember enjoying that one because of what Ricky said. Like, it's a very ambitious movie, but so is this movie, man. $60 million. $60 million.
So the wild part, well, I'll get into that budget thing when we get to the special effects. So for me, what were our scores? I think Jonathan is gone right now. I'm assuming he'll be back.
Okay.
No, sorry. I accidentally muted myself. My bad. I was blowing my nose.
Where's Jonathan at?
But no, I was at a 4.
Okay. This was one of my harsher ones. I gave the score a 3. I thought it was a good story.
That's about where I'd come in as a 3.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
See, with all the thrill and suspense and the mental stuff, man, that's what put me at a 4 for it.
Yeah.
It's not that the story's like amazing, but it's serviceable, and it strings the scene by scene well enough along. So
see, that's where I often find myself kind of defending or explaining, as Jonathan knows, the story and the script. For me, the story I kind of take as the general idea of the film, that just visiting the event horizon in space, finding out what went wrong with it, that premise of the film is what I score the story, whereas the script is where I judge how effective it was at communicating that story. Because you can take an idea that we've maybe seen before and elevate it by having a fantastic script.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
That's how I kind of juggle those. And we'll get to the script is actually, isn't the script the next score we have, guys?
It's character, at least according to this thing.
Yes.
Well, real quick on my 3 for this, the reason that I have it, like, kind of like Ricky, it's serviceable, the story. And I'm not breaking it down the way you are, Tim. I'm just like, from my watch last night is the way I'm going. And there were several times during the movie where I'm questioning the shit out of what some of the characters are doing or saying, and not in a way that is making me dislike the movie at all. Not even close. It's just I'm noticing that I'm doing it. And then the movie feels like it's building up to something that it never quite pays off. And that's kind of where I'm like, you lost me with that, a little bit of a lackluster ending. Which the final set piece is cool. It just didn't. I wanted more, and I especially wanted more of the Lovecraftian blood orgy terror.
Yes, I agree.
Which fucked the studio for that one. So
yes, I was.
Well, with all the stuff they cut out, supposedly, who knows what we would have gotten to see originally.
Right. Yeah, he cut out almost 30 minutes of the film, is what I was reading, which is just. He says he thinks he cut out 10 minutes too much, and I'm like, no, you cut out 30 minutes too much. I want to know what your full film was, and it's just so much more interesting when you read that the studio and the original like test audiences were horrified.
Yeah, the studio was like pissed off. They're like, oh my god, we can't, because little behind the scenes on this part, Paramount was filming Titanic at the same time. Yep. And they were put like behind production on that. Like, it was costing them more money to finish that James Cameron flick. So they wanted to push this movie out and have like a summer blockbuster. And that's why they put the money behind it that they did. And when they thought it was going to be like a sci-fi epic. And when they saw Lovecraftian blood orgies, they were like, oh my God, hell to the nah. And some of the footage was actually found in a salt mine in like fucking Transylvania or some shit somewhere. What? Yeah, like they really mismanaged the footage of this movie.
Clearly, like, holy shit.
The original cut was supposed to be 130 minutes, and I believe we have a 95-minute cut, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's something like that. Was.
Yeah, so and that footage, unless something crazy happens, we're never gonna get it.
Never see it.
No,
I know, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Yeah, Ricky mentioned there was a director's cut, and I was like, "What? I need to see this." And he's like, "Ah, well, it kind of doesn't exist anymore." So that's started looking into that.
Rip
I was
us.
very disappointed. Very disappointed. So one of the things going into the next category, the character arc, this is one of my disconnects with the film. Is that these characters are all great, but I feel, and this is something with the sci-fi genre in general for me, I feel that we are, for the most part, seeing them at this moment in time. And that doesn't apply to Dr. Ween quite as much. Is it Ween?
Weird.
Dr. Weir?
Weird. I said it wrong. I'm tired, guys.
It's all good, bro.
But yeah. And in hindsight, we also get the flashback of the one lady's daughter or son. And there's little hints of their lives outside of the ship, which I appreciate. But who they are as characters remains kind of the same throughout the film. Like who they are in the opening scene is who they are at the end of it, minus Dr. Weir.
I would say
you don't really get background much on anybody except, for, Sam Neill is Weir, and then like Kathleen Quinlan is Peters, and then just a little bit of backstory also from like Lawrence Fishburne as Miller, Captain Miller, towards the end there.
Yeah.
He's a standout character.
I agree. It seems to be more two-dimensional. I wouldn't go as far as to call them one-dimensional, like
right,
but like just not fully realized. And that's probably, due to time constraints or something.
Yeah,
go for it.
The movie was very rushed. Normally they have a 10-week editing process that goes on with films. This was pushed to 6, which actually was 4 because of some reshoots and whatnot that Paul Anderson had to do. So yeah, Ricky, it was very rushed towards the whole thing was. But you can thank again the studio. That missing footage was character development. Oh. There was about 4 minutes of extra blood orgy that we got cut out. The rest of it was character development for all the supporting cast, like Baby Bear, Cooper, Stark. All of them were supposed to get more fleshed out stories and interactions. I think in this movie, Cooper has a little bit of an arc where he goes from being like sort of womanizing, at the beginning of the movie, always flirting and shit.
Oh yeah.
His unwanted advances and whatnot. I like the line where he tells Stark when they wake up out of the fucking vats of sleeping liquid, he's like, "Hey, you want something hot and black inside you?" I'm like, "Damn, dude, out the gate with it."
Yep.
Just woke up after a long cryo sleep.
Yeah, dude.
Straight out of the NyQuil. He's coming hard with it.
Yeah. I wish we could have gotten more for development out of Jason Isaacs as DJ, because like that dude, man, he went kind of hard for a moment there. So perhaps against like, Sam Neill, when he was Dr. Weir, with like that tool to his neck and shit when they started trying to fight, man. Like, I want to know like what that guy's been doing, because he was like very critical throughout the whole thing as character. And it's like, man, I would have liked to have seen more of like what made him like that, and as he got more and more tense with the situation.
Yeah, dude, when Malfoy's dad fucking started wanting to stick Smitty in the neck, I was like, God damn.
Just get him, just take him.
That dude was about to say,
recognize him.
I love Alfred Pennyworth in this. Sean Pertwee, who plays Smith, he played Alfred in the Gotham TV series.
Oh, I never saw it. Okay, cool.
They had a pretty good cast of people, for the characters.
That is the other thing. I was going to mention that on acting. They've got a stacked cast, honestly. Who they might not have been that big of names at the time this film came out, but since then have blown up. Sam Neill was, and Lawrence Fishburne were pretty big for sure.
Yeah, they were definitely.
Yes,
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the actors.
Yeah,
but I also think Captain Miller has somewhat of a story arc, because you're right, Rick. He is pretty everyone is pretty 2-dimensional. It's like you get who they are, what their roles are, and they act accordingly. And you get a tiny bit of backstory for some of them. But his was a little more in depth, where he had that moment where he talked about I think he was talking to, was he talking to DJ? Yeah. And he told him that story, and it's like, dude, that's fucked up. And he's like, you ever seen fire in zero gravity?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like, it's beautiful. It comes in waves. And I had to watch as it covered him wave after wave. And I knew there was only one thing I could do. And he's like, what? And he's like, I closed the door and I left him behind. I'm like, dude, that's heavy, bro.
Yes.
So nothing else he could do. He had no choice. It sucks.
He has to face that hell. Like everybody in this movie has to face sort of their inner
some
hell.
sort of backstory.
Yeah.
Haunted by their past in some way.
Weir, who lost Claire, his lady, Peter's having to be away from her kid all the time, Miller not wanting to lose anybody else again. It's like, man, it's tough. Everyone's got shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you're making me rethink my score, because realizing that there is quite a bit, but I still feel like I'm missing it. I think maybe it has to do with the way everybody, like, they're on this mission together, and I don't like the way they just kind of wake up and it's like it's the first time they've met each other. And I don't know how memory works when you're in like a cryo sleep and you just wake up and we have to go over the mission again because we forgot from before we boarded the ship.
I think they had some lean in there, boy.
Some lean in that tank, boy.
They woke up with some lean, boy. They was all payad.
I think Stark knew what Cooper was all about, because she didn't even seem to care that he was trying to like mac on her really hard. She was just like, whatever.
Yeah, a little Punch and Judy joking around,
Yeah. I think they, they're probably, well, to that point though, and now that I'm thinking about it, Tim, they're all pissed off because they were all about to have a very long leave. And they got called all of a sudden to come and do this mission. So I think they were all on edge, and that's probably, maybe that's why they were kind of all not short, but like
under strain already.
Yeah. And maybe that's why they came across that way. So if that's the case, then I think the performances just got a little bump up, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I think after talking, might have to reevaluate my score on the character, because we brought up they do encounter their inner demons or past hells throughout the film in interesting ways. And whether we don't see, that's not a traditional character arc for me, because most of them in this film don't make it out of the other end. So we can't see how that affects them. But it is compelling. It's part of what drives this movie.
Yeah, man.
That glimpse of their darkest moments.
That's a horror movie for you, though. Not everybody gets out alive.
Yeah. Yep. So there's going to be some loss, man.
I went down on my score. I actually went to a 3.
Did you? I went up to a 4.
See, I thought about changing it to a 4 now that I talk about it so much. Like I almost sold myself on it.
I know. I was like,
with some of the other considerations that you guys mentioned, I think I'm still going to stick to 3.
I'm going to stick to the 3 as well. That's where I was at, and that's where I'll stay, because the original point you were making, though, Tim, of like wanting more, I agree. I think we get what we get in this hour and a half, and it's for as rushed as the movie can feel, I still think we get a decent amount of character development. But like you, I'm like, I would like a little bit more, and I'll stick to my 3 as well on this one.
Well, and I think, yes, what you were saying, back to what I was originally saying, is we get that backstory, but I don't get the emotional connection. That's what I'm missing. So we have those stories that are supposed to make me feel something for this character, and it doesn't, other than like I can recognize that Weir had a traumatic experience. That's awful. But like I'm not moved to tears for him.
Yeah.
He's mentally jacked, but still twisted.
Or is it Justin who in that airlock?
Oh my God, yeah, baby bear. Dude, no, baby bear. Come inside, baby bear. Come inside, baby bear.
That scene is intense, but I'm not like sad about it, if that makes sense.
No, I was laughing.
When my boy floats out and starts spitting blood, and fucking Miller's Cowboy Curtis is like, just let all the air out your lungs, and my dude's just constantly screaming. I'm like, oh, he let the air out his lungs.
Yeah. And I don't
non-consensually
think space works. I'm not a physicist, but I'm pretty sure that's not how the vacuum of space works. So I love that scene, and I also have problems with that scene. So on to the next, we've given our scores. So now the music and sound design.
Aha. Yes. I do like this section.
Yes.
So with this, man, the music I think was set pretty well. That really helped set the tone for the movie and a lot of some of the darker scenes, some of the paranoia settings, creating tension. Although they did have one part where we were talking about Castle Freak, where we're talking about music and like the plucking of strings for tension. Yeah. You get a little bit of that in here, but then you also get a little good different types of like electronic beat, little music kind of stuff that kind of helps fill certain parts that's kind of spread out. Even with like the music, once again, with Paul Anderson having directed Mortal Kombat, he also used music from Orbital for this movie as well, and featured them as well for one of their song remixes for Halcyon in the Mortal Kombat movie that he did prior to that. So it's kind of funny how that connects a little bit with the music situation, but there's so much tension in it. I think it really kind of helped bump things up, and yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, the sound design is dope, and I'm glad you brought up Orbital, Jonathan, because I was going to make that point too. The composer, Michael Kamen, he collaborated with Orbital to make the score a mixture of traditional and electronic. And I think for this movie, for what the atmosphere of this movie is, and the set design, just the overall, like it's fully working, and the sound design is dope. There's a moment in this movie, and I can't pinpoint where, but I saw this when I was reading about the film, where they use a soundbite from the video game Dune.
That makes sense.
Film. And I think it's when a door opens or something like that. But so it's like you have to be a hardcore Dune fan to catch it. I never would have caught it, but I think that's really neat. So sound design and music are stellar. I'll wait to give my score on it, but
same,
yeah. I think the sound design, I mean, you guys both said it. It sounds really good. There's none of those. Sometimes in sci-fi, they get a little corny with sound effects of computers or doors or so on. And this sounds like it looks. And I love that about it. And I was listening to the music, and I think they incorporated some of that industrial and I don't want to call it not techno, electronic elements are incorporated so well. It doesn't take you out of the experience at all. It complements what you're seeing perfectly. And they just did a great job with
that makes me want to go listen to it on its own, because that's a score's job, right? Is to complement the film. It's not to stand out necessarily. Some scores just do, because I mean, like Lord of the fucking Rings, you can't help it,
right?
But those scores,
John Williams scoring your film,
yeah. Normally their scores are so good, but so is the movie that they're working on, that it just blends. It's a perfect, storm. But I'd like to check out this score by itself, just to see if it's groovy on its own,
Yeah, I wondered that too, because while watching it, I always kind of give the 5 for me is that easily recognizable. You mentioned Lord of the Rings. That's a 5, because every person kind of has their own theme song. Every setting kind of has its own theme or storyline, or those easily recognizable John Williams moments. Those are the 5s to me. If you can recognize the movie just from the music, it's a 5. But this one, I don't know if you put the soundtrack to this movie on, would I go, oh yeah, that was Event Horizon? Or did it just do a great job of complementing the film? And it never takes you out. It heightens the moments, but it's not as good on its own. I don't know, because I haven't listened to it on its own, but it is a good soundtrack. on its own.
Motherfucker walks into the club and he's like, "Yo, what you bumping tonight, G?" And he's like, "Motherfucking Event Horizon, cuz."
It's the Blood Orgy song.
Yeah, dude. It turns into fucking Blade up in that bitch.
Yeah.
Nice.
He pulls his eyes out and hands them to it.
Yeah.
Well, it says here the soundtrack album was released, which combined various cues from the score into 4 tracks of approximately 10 minutes.
Interesting.
I don't know if there's a lot there to really get down with.
Well, 4 tracks of 10 minutes. That's a 40-minute album where we're talking about periphery type of album, but
like I said, maybe it's like 4 tracks that it's all just tie-ins and just kind of jumps, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that would really work. I'd have to hear it to see what it's like.
Well, because sometimes you get into those soundtracks and they're like 30 seconds or a minute here and then next track. So I would kind of be curious to listen to a 10-minute one and see what that journey's like.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I gave the music and sound design, I thought it was good. I gave it a 3.
Yeah.
Same. 3.
Yeah.
I went with a 4.
I'm in at also a 3.
I went 4. I thought it heightened it enough for me that it made me, it put me in, kind of helped me get in depth with some of those emotional states, to feel some of the tension that they're feeling. So I think a 4, I think sets pretty well for me.
For me, I just, I doubt I would recognize it outside of the film. It never pulled me out, but it never stood out either. So to me, that means, hey man, it must have been serviceable,
That was a decent score there, Gabna.
Exactly. That's what I always feel. Bryce and I used to get into it all the time. The score breakdown, I try to explain it when at the beginning of that 0 is a valid score, but 0 is just the worst you can imagine. 1 is bad, 2 is okay, and 3 is good. 4 is great, 5 is amazing. So like 3 is still a good score, but I'm like, man, am I lowballing here or am I being realistic?
Sure.
I think 3 is middle of the road. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great. It's good.
It's average.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So this is a big one. Editing and special effects.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go negative first. The liquid floating.
Oh yeah.
The liquid floating is distracting. The rest of the movie is fantastic. The rest of this movie looks so good that those globs of fluid, is that the liquid mercury?
I think whenever the ones that's floating around, they say it's some kind of coolant.
Okay. Those are distracting. Everything else looks really pretty good. There's a couple compositing scenes where you can tell you can tell, but it's not so bad that I'm drawn out of the movie. Like we mentioned that scene where he goes out into space without a suit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the blood flying out of him, his veins, all of that looks so good. The set designs, I'm going into that on the effects with just like human matter up in
those
the
little
corners.
alcoves.
Yes, it's disgusting and it's fantastic. The character design of Weir at the end when he goes full Hellraiser,
yes,
and comes back as a Cenobite, it's looks so good. My favorite scene, I wrote it down because I just thought it was executed so well, was when they turn on the gravity in the ship and everything drops to the ground, and all those poorly, not too great done liquid balls that are floating drop to the ground, and I love that. I love that. I think the effects of this movie are done so well, and the combining of using the practical with the CGI is one of the best marriages that I've seen for a film, especially from the late 90s. There's a shot at the beginning of this film.
Yeah, dude.
Where I'm trying to find my notes where I wrote it down.
When Sam Neill's on that his first spaceship.
The rotational shot of the space station.
Yes.
It took a third of the film's budget, and it looks so good.
It looks amazing. I literally got disoriented watching it. I was sitting on the couch, and I posted the picture in the Discord last night of when I started the movie.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty much the first scene you get. And I'm sitting on the couch getting dizzy watching it and also being like, wow. 1997, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's a fantastic shot. That shot alone, yes.
So what you were talking about with like the liquid stuff, the coolant and everything, even like when you're in the core and you see it where all the rings align, and then you see like Justin, he comes up and he touches that liquid and how it kind of bubbles out and then everything that's in the air, the graphics of it. And I know I'm bringing it up again. Freaking Mortal Kombat, man. Paul Davis Anderson had it again. When I see that, it makes me think of some of the graphics that you see in Mortal Kombat, and then also in like Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like he might have been using like the same people for that CGI production because it all just feels so familiar to me. I mean, it just had just very reminiscent all around for me.
See, I haven't seen those older Mortal Kombat movies. The last one I saw was that one that came out during COVID.
When you get a moment, watch those. The first original live action Mortal Kombat, I think it was like 95. It was pretty cool, but like Annihilation, oh God, that was kind of a letdown, dude. And they kind of overused CGI in that one a bit. But either way, I'm getting off topic here. Yeah.
I'd say it's so bad it's good personally.
Yeah,
The first one is dope. It's good. I love it.
This is a little inside scoop for the
Don't tell them.
I'm gonna tell them.
It's a secret.
No.
Y'all at the insider knowledge right now.
Do I need to edit this out later?
No. This is for the average podcast audience.
Bring the bomb, bro.
Leave it in the whole time.
Leave it in deep.
Yeah.
Let it soak.
Leave it in as deep as those Texas taters or whatever you called them earlier.
Texas tough nuggets.
Yeah, dude.
Boy.
We're going to be covering the 1995 Mortal Kombat coming up in May on the Nightclub podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude. Can't wait to talk about it.
It's going to be a big old party.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be a blood orgy.
All right. Circle back to that blood orgy.
Yeah.
It looks so good in the 10 seconds. You mentioned that there were like 4 minutes cut of the blood orgy scene. And we get a grand 10 seconds of it.
Oh, dude. It seems rough that you only get that, but you got to think about some of the aspects of the other scenes, though. Like when DJ was finally splayed out Hellraiser style, the way he's like hanging from the skin hooks and everything, his gut torn up and he's been disemboweled and just hanging there. So Hellraiser, and it looks so good.
They made him pull back that scene for Jason Isaacs' death. The plan was originally to have him still be attached to his entrails and alive.
Oh,
nice.
And then Lawrence Fishburne was going to shoot him in the head.
That would have been.
Yeah, that would have been so much better.
It's still great.
Dang.
I mean, it reminds me of.
We got robbed.
You mentioned, You mentioned directors kind of pulling from this one. I see you, Ari Aster.
Yep. When he splayed out boy in Midsommar.
Exactly. I saw that scene and I was like, well, shit.
That's what I thought of last night watching it. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
Also, Tim and everybody, the 4 minutes of blood orgy that got cut out, they hired amputees. They hired porn stars for the sex to make it look more realistic. And like they shot all of this. Like this is all stuff they shot and was in that rough cut that the execs and the test audiences saw. So they had a guy, Ricky, you're going to like this. They had a guy, one of the chick, I think it might've been Stark, maybe one of the chicks in the movie, her mouth was held open by these fucking clamps and some dude was just drilling the shit out of her teeth.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, I hate that.
That sounds incredible.
I hate it too, but I want to see it.
I know.
Yeah. I want to watch you guys watch it. I wanna be there in my cuck chair watching y'all watch that.
When you mentioned,
just think, man. Just imagine being the people on set filming that scene. That had to be something else, bro. That had to be something wild. To have to say, like, are we really filming this? Is this what we're really doing right now? Like, holy shit.
Go home, go to the hotel room that night, and you're having fucking nightmares. Your veins are spurting out like baby bears.
Yeah.
You know it's fake, but you're still traumatized.
Teeth are vibrating right now as we discuss this.
When you mentioned the airlock scene, when Homeboy's veins just pop up all of a sudden like that,
pulsing real quick.
It looks good.
I got the frissons, the goosebumps. I was like, oh no. And again, that rotating shot, and my other favorite scene in the movie, as far as special effects goes, is where Homeboy, and I know this is a small scene and y'all were kind of shitting on it a little bit, and I get it. It's of a time. It doesn't look as good today. But when I think it was Baby Bear. Yeah, it was, because this is what set him off to be all catatonic. When he reaches into that black hole, and barely puts his hand in and then gets sucked in, it's just the concept of that scene that I love, because it's happening. For the listeners, if you've never seen this movie, what the fuck are you doing? Go watch this. But it happens with the graviton machine, the black hole creator, in that fucking the heart of the ship, basically.
It's kind of the catalyst that sets everything off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that entire effect where he goes in there and it sets off a shockwave when he gets pulled out by Cooper, that like starts blowing everything up and chaos ensues.
Yes.
That's probably my favorite scene in the movie, that's like just special effects driven and pushing the plot forward. And that all has to do with the editing, the special effects. I give this a 5 as far as special effects. And you know why I'm going to do that? Because we covered The Mummy on the podcast, on the nightclub. And when a movie, we gave that movie a 10 for our rating scale. And whenever I can see a film with those kinds of effects that are, yes, they're dated and you can tell, but they still hold up and you still enjoy it as much, I can't fault this movie for anything, if I'm going to be honest with myself. And as far as the effects and the editing goes, 5 full points to this. Like, they did a phenomenal job, in my opinion, with half the budget of Titanic, with less than half the budget of Titanic.
That's a fair point to make, that it doesn't take away from the enjoyment either way. I didn't mention one of my other favorites is the appears to be completely practical fall down the well death. I know it's not the well, but
down into the core.
Yeah.
When she sees her son and steps into that hole, I felt every bump and hit. And when she hits that triangle piece and then hits the bottom,
oh god, oh yeah, falling through the shaft, hitting everything, hitting every ugly branch on the way down until smash.
That scene is so good, and you feel like she doesn't look like a dummy hitting everything. It looks like she has weight.
Ragdoll physics hard.
Yeah, like I went back 10 seconds and was like, hold on, let me see if those arms are just fly. It looks like a stunt person. I know it's probably not, because they took some hard hits, but it looks so good.
That dummy got destroyed.
Tim, I want to interject real quick on that scene. And I know this is probably for the next category or the one after, but I just got to mention it while it's fresh in my mind. This is around the part in the story where Dr. Weir fully goes evil and he's like, I am home, and he disappears into the shadows like a villain. The next scene is this. And he right when he walks in and sees Peters fell, he's like, oh my God, Peters. I'm like, wait, weren't you evil just like 2 seconds ago?
Yeah.
That goes back to my first score about the story, kind of, is like me questioning some of the things that was happening. I'm like, that's one of the moments where loud keyboard typing, I thought, oh my God. I was like, this character, how are you going to regress right back to your old self in like 2 seconds? You're going into the heart of the ship where the fucking big spinny disc black hole ball is. And now you're all of a sudden upset that Peters fell. What do you give a fuck? You're home now, bitch.
Okay, so you just said something. You said regressed. We can go in. We're jumping back into character, but that's fine. This is open conversation. Regressed, or I got the impression that Weir was like possessed.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You know,
That's
his connection to the ship, you know, prior to it going through the portal to the black hole. Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, what were your guys' interpretations of what happens to Weir? Because I didn't count it as a character arc when I thought he was a genuine scientist who didn't know what happened. And then when everything starts to happen, because he says a line at the end, like, the ship won't let me die, I just keep coming back.
See, that kind of goes into script, though, too.
Well, hold on, but Tim, you're about to make me like the story a little bit more based on that, though, because that kind of solves a problem I had. If he's possessed, then it makes sense when he tells Miller at one point, I don't know what's going on. I need more time. And he's like, well, Miller's like, time is one thing we don't have. But it's like, so if that's the case, then he is back and forth. And that makes that scene make more sense where he walks into the room and when he sees that dead body of someone, he doesn't know her, but
I always just assumed he was possessed, to be honest.
Well, think about it. He's got this huge attachment to this ship, this big thing he created and ignored Claire for, which caused her to kill herself. You know, from there, he's already traumatized for that, and he's got that psychological and mental connection and energy, or whatever you want to call it, with that ship. So for the ship to go through this black hole it created in itself, to go through this world of chaos and back, and how it changes the ship, and then feels that connection with him, if the ship is actually sentient or if it's a living ship at that point, as is hinted at through a lot of it, you know, then you can see that maybe the ship is drawing him based on that.
Yeah, that's how I kind of took it, as the ship was sentient, but it doesn't have a physical human body, so it possesses somebody on it.
It's like a Ghost in the Machine kind of thing.
Yeah, and is that what happened? So his line at the end of, and we can transition that into script if we want.
Well, before we get there, I'll go ahead and give my score after you make your point.
Okay. But he says that line about the ship won't let me die, I just keep coming back. And he pulled out his eyes just like the other person in the blood orgy. And so that made me think that it is this kind of demonic possession, just very cosmic in nature.
And his own stitch-up job over his eyes after he takes his eyes out. Whoo! Although I will say, Stark, Jolie Richardson, man, I'm surprised she didn't look more messed up with special effects stuff, because she took a beating like a son of a bitch through all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Getting thrown across rooms, in all kinds of shit, knocked out, beat up. Dude, she shouldn't have been able to walk after the kind of beatings that she took through some of that stuff. So I wish there had been more special effects to see, like, more injury pain, because I'd be broke down with all that in mind. Like, holy cow. But overall, with this editing special effects, I gave it a 4. 4.
I gave it a 4 as well.
Thanks to that Mortal Kombat water stuff, just
Yeah, I gave it a 4 as well. It and I forgot the point I was gonna make. Shit.
Goose.
Damn, I've been waiting to say it for a while, and I guess I just got lost. The set design also, like, in all of this, like, and finding out that the big spinning black hole of death portal is practical, like, and just that room in general, like, the art direction and the set design and the effects, like, all wonderful. The only thing that really takes me out of it is just all the shit floating around in the foreground. Like, when there's no gravity, it just drives me crazy. I'm like, that wrench looks so bad.
It looks wonky, huh, Rick?
It looks so bad.
I kind of like it, though.
It's one of those things.
I almost forgot too. When they turn on the gravity and that frozen body drops and hits and shatters.
Yes,
that was
awesome. You know what? I'm giving it a 5. Fuck it.
Yeah,
I'm changing it to a 5. Fuck it.
Winning hearts over here, son of a bitch.
I did it for the mummy. I overlooked it. I overlooked the wonkiness for the mummy. I'll overlook it for.
But no, hey, with the set design you were talking about, though, Rick. I mean, those scenes like where Weir goes in through the core through those little pathways, all the green like circuit boards and stuff. It kind of reminds me of like Star Trek and the Borg kind of a thing, but also kind of Matrixy, you know?
Absolutely.
All tight spaces. And you already know, you find out early on that he's already kind of claustrophobic with the whole to the sleep tank thing. And so being in there, you know, that's going to be playing an effect on him, you know, and like the lights and everything, like the lighting and how they were flashing off and on through a lot of stuff. I mean, and then like you got that like meat grinder hallway that goes into the core.
The hallway
there was some good
best.
set design on
whenever,
that stuff.
Whenever they walked in,
amazing set design and imagery. Yeah.
Whenever he walked into that shit, I turned to my girlfriend. I said, "What are they in a fucking haunted house now?"
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah. Like that's what it looks like. It looks like a like a
Edge
haunt,
of Madness
bro.
in Menden, Louisiana.
Let me tell you about that.
They have one of those
grinder.
hallways.
Fuck yeah, dude!
Tell you about that meat grinder. The meat grinder separates the gravity drive from the rest of the ship. Is supposed to represent the 9 circles of hell.
Oh,
neat.
Dante's Inferno.
Okay, good connection.
It leads into the very center of hell, represented by the gravity drive. It turned out to be the most problematic set piece on the film. Only shots with a fixed camera could be done, since the camera operators became disoriented and unable to keep the camera steady.
I bet.
I don't doubt it.
Lawrence Fishburne could not perform his run through that tunnel in one take.
Oh God, that'd be awful.
That final scene of him running is comprised of several shorter takes. And when the fireball was filmed, a piece of cloth started to burn and caused a small fire that affected the rest of the set.
Oh no.
So man, I think I've been persuaded again, because I want to dock it so much for the floaty things. Like Ricky said, I don't like it. And it's one of those things that's just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Sure.
But
what feels right in your heart, man?
What
feels right in your heart?
The rest of that film is so good looking.
See, now I'm tempted to change mine to a 5. Damn it.
I think I might.
Nightclub.
Fuck it. I'm changing it. I'm going 5 on the editing special effects then. I'm going to change it to 5. I'm going to go 5.
I think it might be a 5 on it, guys.
As much as I hate the Mortal Kombat water, just the fucking rest of it's badass. Son of a bitch.
Before we move on to script, I do want to point out that the set design, like, because everyone's complimenting it, they took Notre Dame Cathedral, they broke it down in a computer, and they designed the sets based off of hodgepodging Notre Dame architecture back together.
What?
And
Very 40K.
They called this set design, y'all are gonna like this, the set design for Event Horizon, they dubbed Techno Medieval.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
It's 40K. It's Warhammer.
And that's something I wanted to mention with the sound design, just to piggyback and regress back to that point. I feel like if maybe there was more like Gregorian chants and
Gothic
and
organs.
Gothic organ and industrial, like that really would have just set it off, man.
Ricky, what if this movie was like Tetsuo invaded space?
Oh my God, that would be, bruh.
Now I think about it, I think a little Geiger-esque or Giger-esque. I'm not sure.
Sure, yeah, very
Giger-esque with some of the set design stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Dude. Yeah,
those organic like shapes that are like geometrical, but yeah, absolutely.
There were a lot of doorways in this movie that were shaped like coffins.
Yeah,
interesting.
Oh, I noticed some of the portals, some of the different door portals, and how they closed. You know, you had the one to the core where it had that 4-piece that kind of twisted closed
with spikes in it, like Mortal fucking Kombat.
Yes, but also kind of Hellraiser-ish at the same time too.
Yeah, dude.
This
like,
is
damn. I'm gonna keep talking.
All of what you're describing. I definitely was watching it, saying this looks like 40K. This looks like Warhammer universe, because it pulls from all of that. But that very gothic cathedral look in sci-fi is exactly what I picture for Warhammer. And I was like, man, this is early 40K stuff. I don't
know much about 40K, so like I don't really have much of a comparison for that.
Ooh, I can't. I can't wait till my boy Henry Cavill releases his stuff upon the world.
Oh, what?
Well, is he going to make a movie? He's going to make a 40K movie or something?
He I don't know if it's officially been announced that he's working with Amazon, but Henry Cavill is has been a diehard Warhammer fan publicly for years. There's photos of him on planes reading Warhammer fiction. There's a small YouTube video of him just stopping in Games Workshop in the UK and nerding out over armies. So he is in.
That's awesome.
He is one of the higher ups in bringing the Warhammer 40K cinematic universe to reality.
He's a man of the people.
And he plays Custodes. So there you go.
I don't know what that means.
Tim knows. Tim knows what it means.
So we sidetracked on to
it means he can do a lot with a little.
Ooh, the Custodes are pretty friggin' awesome. Yeah. But let's jump into the script.
Okay.
Somebody said they had some script points they wanted to bring up.
I know I do, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a lot of punchy dialogue throughout of it. I mean, it's not horrible, but I mean, some of it could have been better. But there were a lot of great lines throughout the film, and with some of the scenes you get, like when Miller gets into the ship, and he's just like, everything's kind of somber and kind of dark, unknown, and he's just like, this place is a tomb. But then that frozen hand hits his face, and I lost my shit. And so I kind of cracked up after that. But there's a lot of poignant lines throughout the whole thing that I think were well written, as far as some of these really short scenes that were really intense, like when Baby Bear is in the airlock and he's not really himself, and they're calling to him, and his eyes are all jacked. He's like, if you could see the things I've seen, you wouldn't try to stop me. It was so grim, so brutal, and just hopeless that I thought it was really great. And then, you've got Weir after he comes back. I think it was after he comes back all looking all Hellraiser-ish. He's like, I have such wonderful things to show you.
Oh, big,
it's so Hellraiser. Yeah. It just makes me think Pinhead so much. And I was like, yes, that's awesome. Awesome little bits of dialogue there with the writing.
That's right.
And just a lot of cool lines like that and then there's everything else beside all the jokes and small quips that they have between the cast throughout the thing.
Yeah. I love this script because where I said the story doesn't seem super original, the script takes that story to the next level by fine-tuning it. It gives us exactly what we need. Well, we said we might want a little bit more out of characters. As for what's going on, it gives us everything we need to know what's going on. It gives us just the right amount of clues, but it explains the technology in a way that is easy for us to understand. And it's clever, where it's not assuming we're idiots, but he's talking to people who aren't scientists. And so I love the way it explains that. But you mentioned there's a lot of solid, punchy, great lines just from when I was talking about his this ship won't let me die. I just keep coming back. And even the way they write, the way the ghosts come back and mess with them and get in their mind, where I actually think that's the ship trying to gain access to possess them, basically. But things like Miller and Weir having the conversation, and this is the ship brought me back. I told you she won't let me leave. She won't let anyone leave. Did you really think you could destroy the ship? And he goes on for a little bit, and then he says, I know it's time to go back. And Miller goes, I know, to hell. And Weir goes, you know nothing. Hell is only a word. The reality is much, much worse.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many great lines in this film that are just dark and heavy, and I love it. And I actually love the little sound recording clip that is their clue that they're following along, trying to decipher. I love it. Yeah. I love the script. Next person.
Liberate me.
It makes me think of the that Zayo album or Zao, however it's pronounced.
Oh yeah,
I knew you'd like that.
Yep, you knew
I
I'd get
haven't
that
listened to
reference.
them in a while.
That's the first thing I thought of when I watched it last night, and that scene came on. I was like, oh shit, I want to put that on.
Well, now I want to know if that album came out around the time of this movie.
That's a distinct possibility
because they were late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
So
it would make sense.
I'm looking it up. Keep going on that.
They came out in 90. They founded in March of 93, bro.
The script, I mean, like, dude, yeah, for me, it's definitely better than the story. Just the concepts alone and what it's going for, what I can tell the movie wanted to be versus what it ended up being. And I know maybe that's not what you're saying, but like, I know because of research again where the movie was trying to go, and then where it did finally land because of studio interference. And there's really good writing, but the original script, like that, and that's part of doing the research. If you know about the original script, you'll know that this movie got completely rewritten by I almost said Wes Anderson, Paul Anderson.
Wet Anderson.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Wet Anderson.
It was originally basically an Alien ripoff movie, and Paul Anderson was like, "No, I want this to have more of a haunted house feel." That's when I found out that I was right when I saw it before, and I'm like, this movie feels like, because of the lighting and the way that some shots are done and the ghost effects, like this is like a haunted house movie in space, which I want to give Ricky a shout out. Way before Dead Space and way before we ever watched Event Horizon, because he hadn't seen it back in the Gap, and I hadn't seen it back in the Gap, and I'm back in the Gap. I'm in high school. Ricky wrote a short story about a haunted spaceship. I remember that, Rick. I remember that story, and
I'm glad you remember that.
It
had a very pretentious title too. It was called The Void Between Stars.
That's not pretentious. That's fucking dope as shit, dude.
Ominous.
Yeah, ominous.
Yeah,
there
bro.
you go.
If I was in a band, I'd probably name an album that.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's that's the emptiness. That's the nothingness. That's the darkness, baby. Yeah, I like that.
See, I wanted to have a band. Like, if I ever had my own band, I wanted it to be called Render Void.
Oh, the band that I always wanted was called The Stolen Hours.
Oh, okay.
That sounds like a nice indie rock or like emo indie rock band.
Oh, it would have been emo indie rock for sure.
Progressive.
A little
hell yeah.
I actually stole it. The Stolen Hours was stolen from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho back in the day when DVDs had chapters, and those chapters had titles.
Ancient technology.
There was a chapter title on the movie Psycho called The Stolen Hours, and I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rad.
But anyways, as you were saying about the script, after we discussed band names.
No, just all of that being said, the script was completely changed. But for what the movie is, what ended up coming out on film, and based on, again, just research and also knowing that the movie was going to go in a slightly different, more elevated direction. Not elevated like elevated horror, just there would have been more to the story. I'm going to give the script a 4 instead of a 3 because I know that this was going to be not a lot better. That's blowing it out of proportion. It was going to be better than what we got. And I think we all want that 2 hour, 10-minute version versus the hour 35.
Yes.
I was going to say, do you think some of the rewrites improved on it?
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying the cuts. So when you were saying that it was originally going to be like an Alien ripoff, and then he came in and was like, nah, it sounds like he improved it.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
And like, because he saw it and he was like, okay, y'all are trying to play it safe. He's like, I have a darker idea than what y'all want to do. He brought in this whole warp thing, and like this wasn't going to be the movie that we ended up getting.
Warp, ride or die, cuh.
And I'm using those terms
Trademark
for the Warhammer.
Travis.
Warp Rider. Yeah, well, that's part of Tim. Tim, I wrote and performed a Warhammer 40K rap song from the Emperor's perspective.
I might have heard a little bit about this, so
Yeah,
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah, that exists. I think he improved it.
Was it recorded?
Yeah, it's it's in the Discord, and I can
I'll
send
find
it.
I'll find it.
Yeah, but I think he did improve it, and I will give the script a 4. It's not a perfect. The only reason I can't give it a 5 is because I haven't not read the script, and I don't know if that's part of how you would actually grade this necessarily. Like, if you read the actual script, then you know what the script is. But I don't have time to fucking sit down and read scripts.
Yeah,
and imagine it in my own head, like the way that the script makes it sound. But
like Jodorowsky Dune.
What now?
Like Jodorowsky Dune, you'll never see it, but you can just imagine it.
What's that?
Dude, I've never heard that phrase before. What are you saying?
Got me there, bud.
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Jodorowsky, yeah. Dude was like an iconic filmmaker back in the day. He had his own vision of Dune, had this giant, there's like only 2 books that had the entire thing laid up in artwork.
Jodorowsky or whatever his name is?
I watched this documentary and it was pronounced Jodorowsky.
Oh, that might be right. That might be, I don't know, but he's like a Russian, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think he was like Argentinian or something, or like from.
I'm showing my ignorance. I know what you're talking about, though, Jonathan. It was he made. I think he made Sallow. I think, didn't he?
He had a lot of crazy films back in the day. Son of a bitch, like. There was one that was called The Mountain that was crazy.
That was John Lennon's favorite movie. So I know who you're talking about. I just don't. I don't know how to pronounce his name at all. I'm gonna go with yours.
As far as from what I heard, it's Jodorowsky, like Jodorowsky, Jodorowsky. But this guy had his own vision of Dune, and he is just fucking 2 fat, massive books were only ever made that had the entire layout, all the boards. That showed how the entire movie played out, all this artwork that was incredible, so fantastical, and we will never see that movie, and it sucks ass. That could have been something super epic, but it would have been really, really long. Like this thing was super long.
Unmade films is a whole rabbit hole that I would love to go down. I mean,
yeah, sorry, didn't mean to get sidetracked.
No, they're weirdly. Unmade films are like abandoned buildings to me, where I'm just fascinated by the story of what could have been. And I watched the whole. I want to find that documentary. Somebody send me the link to that because it sounds interesting. But also there's a movie about the Superman movie with Nick Cage that was never made.
Yes.
Which you see kind of lead into like the Flash movie.
Well, yeah, the Superman movie with Nick Cage was supposed to cross over with Michael Keaton's Batman.
Oh,
like
that could have been cool.
That could have been really dope.
In the early
Y'all,
90s.
They're calling to make because they saw Michael Keaton. It's a meme now. He's at that award show and he's looking dope as fuck. And now the internet is blowing up. Like, make a Batman Beyond movie, motherfuckers. They need to. They need to do it. They need to do it.
Yes, they totally should.
Did you all grow up watching Batman Beyond?
Yes, dude.
Because that was my favorite show. Like, the idea that Bruce Wayne would one day pass the mantle on to somebody else.
Terry Guinness, baby. Let's go.
Yes. I love Terry McGinnis. I want it. I saw that they pitched.
Ooh, but who would they have play him, though?
Well, I saw that the guys who made the Miles Morales Spider-Verse movies pitched an animated Batman Beyond to Warner Brothers in that same kind of style. But I'll be honest, there's part of me that wants that movie.
Live action.
Well, there's part of me that wants that movie, and then there's part of me that wants a live action, like
I want live action
Blade Runner
continuation.
2099.
I want the Tim Burton universe continuation from the Batman that we grew up with, and I want Terry Guinness. And who do I want as Terry Guinness? I don't give a fuck. Get someone good. I don't know who they're gonna get. But
I want the Tim Burton mix with just a little bit of Matrix kind of technology, techno-ish kind of shit.
Oh, I want Uwe Boll to direct it.
Hell yeah. Fuck it.
I'm already buying all the tickets. I want that Tim Burton feel with Blade Runner. What is it? 2049, 20 whatever the year is. This.
Let's just get Denis Villeneuve or whatever his name is to direct this shit.
Little Din.
Yeah. Hey, I'd be in for that. Although it might be too boring. I didn't say that. Just part one. Just part one was boring. Part two was actually a really good movie.
Just at random because I forgot. I score a 3 on script. My bad, I forgot.
Oh yeah, mine's a 4.
I scored a 4.
We were getting sidetracked real fucking hard there. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to say something.
We tangent pretty good.
Yeah, I'm all for it. That's why I'm here.
Travis, you about
tangential D.
Ooh,
what's that?
Travis, you started to say something, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I never, and Ricky knows this, like, I don't know Dune like everybody else that loves Dune, knows Dune, or whatever. I don't know Dune. I watched the new Dune, and I'm not a big Denis fan. Blade Runner 2049 bored the fuck out of me. Whatever the fuck he made before that. Well, no, Arrival was good. I liked Arrival, but it's so sad I can't watch it again because I'll just cry.
Yeah.
But he made something before that I was like, yeah, it's good.
I'm still a fan of the first sad about Arrival.
Huh?
I don't remember what was sad about Arrival.
I won't spoil it here. I'll just direct everyone to go watch it if they never saw it. And
he Arrival. Did Sicario too.
Well,
Sicario was pretty rad.
And Sicario that movie was.
I'll say
to Juarez.
I'll leave it at Blade Runner. I found very boring, but I saw Dune Part 1 and I was just completely enraptured by the story and what was going on. So I can't wait to see Part 2. So I guess based on just that one gripe, I shouldn't hold him back from doing goddamn Batman Beyond with Tim Burton aesthetics. Let's go.
Okay.
I'd rather 1984 Dune.
See, okay, so I found out after Dune 2 came out, I went down a Dune rabbit hole because I've never read the books, and I thought the first movie was boring the first time. And
Captain Picard in the first fucking Dune movie.
But I found out that the David Lynch movie that you're referencing, right, Jonathan?
Yep.
There's a 3-hour cut of it on YouTube.
Oh, what?
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I'm on late shift tomorrow. I start at 11. I know what I'm watching tonight now.
That's the original cut. Yeah.
I think it's a fan went back and updated some of the effects and whatever, and put the original scenes all back together. I'm gonna
watch that tonight. That's happening.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go watch that 3-hour cut of Lynch's Dune after finding that out.
Tim. Back in the day when the movie came out in theaters, it was 2 hours 40 minutes. When it went to television, they cut it down to 1 hour 40. And that's why you have the two different cuts. And I've never seen the whole movie. I've seen bits and pieces to where I can't even say I've seen the hour 40 version, but I'm going to say the shit I've read online, and that I talked to someone the other day who did see the original in theaters. He's old enough that he saw it. One of my girlfriend's uncles, he was like, that's the version you need to watch. It's better than the new ones. That's what he said. And he likes the new ones. And I'm like, damn, dude, you're the only person I've even heard or anything say that the old one's better than the new ones. So that was wild to me. So I guess seek out that fucking 3-hour version, man.
It is called the Spice Diver cut.
The Spice Diver cut,
I believe. Yeah,
that's
spicy.
One of my buddies in college, I lived with him for a while, and we this is when I was up in Illinois. His dad watched the Lynch Dune movie like once a week.
What?
So he loved that movie. Even my buddy was like, I don't really understand, but he loves this film. So we went on a tangent. It was great acting.
Acting, yes. Ta-da.
Dude, I don't think a person in this film misses.
No.
I think everybody in this film delivers in just about every scene. The only one that gets me a little bit, and Ricky mentioned he was laughing. He was laughing a little bit. Is what?
I said, oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of his name. Baby Bear.
Yeah.
When Justin, he's a little weak on some of his scenes, but outside of, and I mean a little weak, not a lot weak, but it does take away from some of the gravity and makes it almost a little bit more comedy,
makes it a little silly.
Yeah,
the airlock scene though was pretty intense, and I think he delivered pretty well on that one.
It was.
I mean, he had some other moments where he was pretty intense, scaring the shit out of people.
It was the scenes leading up to that, in all fairness, but like Fishburne delivers every scene. He is so good this whole film.
Yeah, he chews it up.
Sam Neill is fantastic this entire film. I actually think Jason Isaacs, this might be one of his best performances.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, dude. Absolutely. Yes. He was rocking. That's why I was so pissed about not seeing more development to see how he progressed with that tension. Fuck. It was so cheated. But Sean Pertwee still kicked ass too.
Yes. Yeah, I thought so too. My only problem, like the women in this film are great, but I don't know. You feel me on that? Like,
yeah, but with so many people as far as the main cast, and then trying to divide up, space between them, and then having only 2 women versus 6 main men. Holly Chance is clear. She was very minor, so it doesn't really play in too much in it. And then like with the other people from the previous crew, it kind of, you can only have so much space with everything else. So I mean, there may have been more that we would have seen that would have given more into the acting had we had all that original footage. But sure. I mean, Gwendolyn, you didn't really see too much, but she still was pretty stuck on that idea of missing her kid, watching videos and everything, and then being led by the child chase and everything, and her need so much to want to see her child. And with Jolie Richardson Stark, she was always trying to be on point with it, trying to be on the mission, keep it serious, trying to be ready to, make sure that Miller had what he needed info, being on top of shit, but then still taking the beating, still fighting. And then, there was her intense emotion, and with her, the way she freaked out, where she had like Sam Neill, like Weir's kind of freak out when he first came out of like the deep sleep. She comes out and she's got her freak out with like the whole Hellraiser dream, right? Like her just spazzing out, and Cooper trying to reassure her and everything. Like they were, it was pretty rough. And Jason Isaacs, man, he was tense with some of his stuff. Even though you didn't see as much of it as I would have liked to.
I think he's one of the standouts in the film, in all honesty. Like, the film's stacked with people who later went on to do a lot. I was just looking, Kathleen Quinlan, you mentioned. She was in Apollo 13. She played Patricia Kenneally in the Doors movie. She was in American Graffiti. She was on the Mayans TV series. She's done a ton of stuff, and not always small roles, stuff that you would recognize her in. Stark, Jolie Richardson, she was in the TV series Nip Tuck.
Yeah.
If I can speak, for 100 episodes. She was in The Patriot. In 2000. She was in 101 Dalmatians.
No, I remember from The Patriot. That was like my favorite thing with
her. That's where I recognized her.
She was awesome in Patriot. Like, the exact same here. She's so good in that.
2 years after that. Recently, she was in the Netflix Sandman series, which I haven't seen, but I've heard is good. She was in The Blacklist.
Oh, I need to watch that.
Like, she's gone on to do stuff. We all know Jason Isaacs, who went on to become a Malfoy. Like, Sean Pertwee was in Gotham. He was in Equilibrium. that was an interesting movie. Like,
I love that movie.
This is a solid cast. It's an interesting movie, Equilibrium. That's the Christian Bale one, right?
Yeah,
love Equilibrium
with Sean Bean.
Oh, it's such an awesome movie.
Yeah, it's
like the 1984 of The Matrix.
Well, It was released about the same time as The Matrix. It wasn't it similar concepts?
Was it like 96?
No, it was
97.
2002
for Equilibrium.
It was 2000. I think it was 2000 or 99. It got overshadowed by The Matrix, but I think
really? I thought it came out earlier than that. Okay.
No, Equilibrium was 2002, based on what I'm seeing right now.
Ooh,
I'm dumb.
Later.
Shit.
A little later then.
Yep.
So,
Also,
what was Matrix? Was that like Matrix like 98, 99?
99.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I think by the
I know it was like
time
sophomore in high
came
school or some
out,
shit.
I listened to a podcast on it actually, and I think Equilibrium was filmed at the same time as The Matrix, but something held it up, and therefore it got overshadowed and was considered Matrix wannabe, basically.
Budget backing and release dates.
Yeah. But like this cast is fantastic. I don't think anybody misses. The only thing that's going to stop me from giving it a 5 is I don't think there's an Academy Award winning performance in here, but there isn't a performance in here that ruins the film. Everybody delivers in nearly every scene. The acting's a 4 for me.
I like Lawrence Fishburne. I think he just kicks ass, dude.
Oh, he's so good in this.
To me.
Yeah, I give it a 4
between him
also.
and Sam Neill and Jason Isaacs, man, like I'm big on a 4 with it, like almost 5, but like definitely solid 4.
I was at a 3, because out the gate, like you're saying, Tim, no one did a bad job. The only one line delivery that I was like at was whenever Baby Bear wakes up on the table. And she's like, who's coming? And he's like, the dark. And I'm like, all right. But besides that, and what's going to bring it up to a 4 for me was what we talked about earlier, where every character you said seemed like they didn't know each other. But then we were talking about it, and I was like, I think it might be because they were supposed to go on leave. And so now they're all pissed off, and that makes their disgruntled nature makes sense. And I think that that's like a play up on what the script was providing them as characters to know that, hey, we're all about to go home. Peters was about to see her kid for Christmas. Cooper was probably about to go get like strippers and hookers and stuff. And like everybody was about to be happy. And then they got to go to fucking Neptune, motherfucker.
56 days
Underrated
to
planet.
fucking get there. Wait, no, yeah. Or was it 56 months?
Well, it was
56 days.
So whatever it is, they were ready to
time.
not go do it, and I think that so for me, I'm gonna bump up that acting to a 4 because I think that it's believable. Their performances are much more believable, at least in the beginning. Besides that, I had no issues with any of it, so that's why I gave it a 3 because I thought it was good. I'll give it a 4, and I think they brought it, man. They brought it for
hell yeah. Meet me on my level. I'm 4 about it as well. I thought there was great delivery all around, man. You know, just like the reactions to the things and like how they played it out with trying to like convey that stress and the emotion and how dark things were just following that mood. I'd say it's a pretty solid 4.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 as well.
Before we jump into the next category, I want to tell you a little bit about Zencastr. When I was preparing for our 13 Nights of Halloween series, I was really searching for a way to streamline the process. I wanted a professional-looking setup to invite our guests to. I wanted quality audio and video recording, and I wanted the easiest way to release the episodes to as broad of an audience as possible. This is how I landed on Zencastr. It is now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Just log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And speaking of audio quality, have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you are thinking of starting your own podcast or just want to streamline what you are already doing, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code AVERAGECUSTOMER and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. That's average customer, one word. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all of my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. So let's dive into the next category. Okay. All right, so that takes us to kind of the last production category of the direction. What do we think?
Well, I thought there was a pretty good direction through it, like with the angles and the lead-ins from one scene to another through some of the stuff. There were some places where you had some kind of dead jumps, but that's because of the editing and all the lost footage and whatever. But
Jonathan, the part where Peters is seeing her son in that fucking thing, and he's got maggot legs, and
oh yeah, on the examination table and shit.
And DJ, what's his name? JD.
Yeah, DJ. Yeah, Jason Isaacs.
When he walks up, he's like, he screams, "Peters!" and she jumps. I'm like, okay, movie, you trying to cheap jump scare me right there? I saw you. I saw you, movie.
Oh, dude, no, for real. No, like when you see, what was it, towards the beginning of the movie during the shaving scene, that transition from the shaving scene and then boom into the shit, like, oh man, that it kind of gives you that bit of a jump scare kind of thing. So that's kind of cool because you get like multiple scenes like that. It's like when Weir is down in those little tiny tight corridors, like just crawling through here, crawling through there, and like getting that sense of being lost, and then that tension hits, the lights go out, and it's like, okay, freak out time. And then with the traumas they're experiencing, like you get some pretty good tough moments there throughout with each character, and then like how everything kind of leads into the next scene. I thought it was pretty cool.
I just think Anderson did a great job directing this film. He used a couple of angles that bother me. I can't remember what they're freaking called right now.
Dutch angles.
Yeah, I hate those things. I hate Dutch angles. And every time it's kind of one of those things there's very rarely a case to use them. Very rarely. And so I notice like when things are ramping up in this, he uses them quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not pervasive. It's kind of focused at like the end of the second act, beginning of the third act. There's quite a few of them.
A lot with Weir.
Yes. And I know why he's using them. I just don't like them. I don't like them. However, the rest of it, he does an excellent job. And I think that's why I don't like them as much, is because he's building that tension. He's building that gothic atmosphere. This whole environment, he's doing such a good job with. And then it's like,
such a protagonist.
Let's show Weir is getting possessed by tilting.
Antagonist.
Yeah. It's just, that's my one nitpick. Otherwise, I think he uses one of the smart things he does is he's doing a sci-fi horror film. And so he brings in that confined feeling of a spaceship, that claustrophobia that is one of my biggest like things about sci-fi horror. It feels so claustrophobic. I don't want to return to it that often. And he does a great job of that while also giving us these big spaces inside the ship, as well as some spaces outside. I'm impressed with the direction, but I'm not wowed, I think. Like, I'm not amazed by it. It's really well done. He does some great things. He brings this movie together nicely. I think it finally hits its stride when all hell breaks loose. And that's where he shines.
Dutch angles, more like Dutch oven, am I right?
Hey, there you are. You're back.
I've been waiting so long to make that joke.
No, but the Dutch angles, Tim, have you ever seen Battlefield Earth?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Wasn't that with
John Travolta?
Yeah, John Travolta. He's got the giant fucking stack boots and shit and the dreadlocks.
Yep.
It is on my list to see because it's
Tim,
one of the worst
B-film gem. It's a B-film gem.
Tim, I agree with Jonathan. I think it's a gem, but I'm going to warn you right now. The entire movie is Dutch angles. The entire thing.
That is the one thing I know.
For no reason. Like, for no reason.
Fucking reason.
That's the best old movie. This is a Dutch angle film, bro.
Dutch angles, USA, Dutch SA.
And it was written by the guy who started
Scientology. Yeah.
What?
Philip K. Dick.
No, L. Ron
What a
Hubbard.
dick.
L. Ron Hubbard.
I say L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah, wasn't he like the dude for starting shit?
My bad.
Is the one who is convinced we live in a simulation.
I'm spreading the lies. Oops. Directing wise, I'm gonna say, like, dude, from that opening shot with the rotating disorientations, what he does manage to pull off, and I'm gonna be biased because I know the production schedule for this movie, and I know what he went through. I'm going to go ahead and give my boy Paul Anderson a 5 for directing on this one because he was given an insane schedule that production company after production company, special effects company after special effects company, multiple freelancers were turning down this project because of the time constraint. And Paul Anderson believed in this project. It was something he wanted to do. He wanted to get away from making PG-13 movies. He wanted to express himself. And by God, one of my favorite stories about this movie was after it came out and it was a flop. This movie was a financial failure. $6 million, made 42 million or 46 million worldwide. So it flopped hard until it hit home video. Then it came back, and then years later reevaluated. It's a cult classic. But
Travis is spoiling the it factor for us.
I'm sorry. on the next. But this is part of why I'm giving him this 5 for a director, man. And I like the story where Kurt Russell on his next film that he was making with Kurt Russell told him, don't worry about what they're saying about your movie right now. In 15 years, this is the movie Event Horizon Kurt Russell was talking about. This is the movie you're going to be glad that you made. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give my boy a 5 on this one, man. Time constraints be damned. He did the goddamn thing. I want to see somebody else do what he did. Let's go.
Ooh, wait, I didn't even think about that. I didn't really take that into consideration. I mean, I put direction at a 4. I thought it was pretty awesome, but I wasn't thinking that it was going to be anything super extraordinary with some of the scenes, with some of the stuff for like outside the ship, and some of the direction with how hokey some of that kind of ran while they're outside doing the repairs and shit. You know,
hey Jonathan,
I mean, the angles are cool. There were some stuff, cool visuals, and some good like pan-ins to like the graphics of the ship stuff. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm a little kind of a butthole. I don't know. I'm sticking with a 4.
No, I'm going with a 4. It's a 4 from me, dog.
I'm a 4, but I gotta be honest. I do want to see. I'm a sucker for seeing the director's cuts because I feel like that's the real vision. And
agreed.
I want to know what his real vision was. I feel like that would change my score. But the other thing that really impresses me, he made this movie at 32 years old.
That's why I said, let's go. But I wanted to ask Jonathan, but I want to ask all y'all, that scene where Miller is going up the fucking spaceship through that ladder, trying to get to Baby Bear in the airlock. How tense and how awesomely filmed was that entire sequence where he's flying up the rungs, screaming, Justin, and he gets up there and he's trying to coach him, and then he dives into him, and like I love that. That might be my second favorite scene in the whole movie, the airlock scene.
I was on the edge for most of that. I really was. That was awesome intensity, and like that sense. It's like there's a countdown going. Like, how long is it gonna take? Oh my god, this airlock's about to open. What do we do? Holy shit! Everyone's freaking out. They can't do anything from the other side of the door. He finally comes to, and he's freaking his shit out. And like, oh my god, Miller, Lawrence Fishburne, he's like fucking solid, like a son of a bitch. Okay, coming in clutch. It's like, I got you, son. Let me tell you what you got to do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it right now. Let's make it happen. I'm gonna catch you. I got you, Baby Bear.
Ricky,
it's on, dude.
Yeah, I honestly think Ricky, that's the best scene.
I like how Jonathan is like Ross and he slams that table.
Oh yeah, he's slamming and slapping. I love it too, bro. He's roosing it.
You roosing, ball. You root. Shut of the pod. Shout out.
Oh yeah. Gonna beat it down on the table.
Okay, so we've got a 5, 3 4s for this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. But I do think that airlock scene, I think that is the peak scene, the pinnacle of this film. It's so well done. So on to...
I agree. I'll just say one thing. I think Uwe Boll would have did it better. All right.
Oh my God.
Good Lord.
I'm just gonna come out and say I don't think you're right on that one.
Totally disagree. Totally disagree.
I've been wrong before. It's all right.
Put him in his place on your show, Tim.
I know what you're trying to do, and there's a line.
Who do you think you
I've been wrong before, but even when I was still right.
So Travis spoiled the it factor for us a little bit, but
no, not totally. Come on, man.
Let's talk about that it factor. Yes, it was a box office bomb.
Okay, so it's like late 90s. What was this? 97, right?
Yep.
97, dude. There are so many different kind of like terror horror trilogies and this and that and like all kinds of crap, mental whatever. There was such a saturation of that in the late 90s through a lot of films that were kind of popular, some that more cult, they were known but like not as big a deal. I didn't really get much of any kind of thing culturally significant out of it. It was just more of like kind of a run to just kind of engage your mind, make you think about some other shit a little bit, kind of freak you out. But it didn't really do much as far as like having a major fact. I mean, I know it became such a huge cult thing after the fact, even though it bombed in the office. But like for me, I don't feel any kind of like it factor. It just was a kick-ass film, but nothing really significant.
I think that's a really fair.
Kill it with a 2.
I think that's a really fair assessment. It's a great film, but there wasn't that it factor to it, and it didn't resonate at the box office. I try to always I try to take myself out of it and look at how, it's the cultural significance. How many people are talking about it? Are you seeing it on best of lists? Are there memes about it? Whatever. That's what I think of when I think of it factor. Are there sequels? Are there spinoffs? Are there all of these things? Like the pinnacle of it factor was The Mummy. That movie had it factor through and through. This, I'd heard good things, and that is that cult following after, getting into the horror realm of movies. This movie's talked about, but that's it. Inside the horror realm, I haven't seen a whole lot about it. It was a 2 for me on the it factor as well.
All right. Okay.
Well, okay, I'll come in and try to change that a little bit. Video game culture is much bigger than probably horror culture, I would say. I think more people play video games than they do watch horror movies.
Probably.
Now, while this
nowadays, yeah,
this movie has been reevaluated by more so the horror community, and it is very influential. It influenced games like Dead Space, other horror games, which were very big in pop culture. And you wouldn't get that without this movie. This movie has been cited numerous times in different television shows, or at least given a nod to, and has inspired other space movies. Like there was this, you remember the Cloverfield franchise?
Yeah.
I never watched those.
Well,
how about
the third one?
And I haven't really seen Deep Space either, so I don't have much point of reference on those.
Yeah, I don't do the video games that much, but
right? But that doesn't
the horror games. Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the cultural significance of it.
Right?
That's fair.
Okay. And I'm just pointing this out. I think this movie, for as small and as forgotten as it seems, it permeates pop culture much more than you might think it does. I'm not saying that it's like on a level of the fucking Beatles or The Shining or anything like that, but I think it's at least there. And I'm going to give it a 3 for cultural significance. I think it's touched pop culture. And if we give it some more time, because cult classics grow in popularity, it seems, I think that this will grow some more. I don't know if it's ever going to like be groundbreaking, because I don't think the movie is, but it definitely had an influence on things that came after it, and people cite it, and they're citing it more and more, and that's probably because they
oh shit knocked over my beer.
Oh, party foul, Jonathan.
Ouch.
It's only a small splash. It's okay.
And that's
Not really.
That's probably because they
Rub
came
it
up
into
with
your
it.
skin.
It rubs this. Yeah, no, we're not gonna go there. Not today.
And Travis was just making his point.
Well, no,
Enough blood
and
orgy.
also this movie was influenced by the novels Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon. The skin flaying scene, even though Midsommar ripped it off, Paul Anderson admits that he ripped it off from the novels of Hannibal Lecter.
And
The Hannibal Lecter
whoever wrote those ripped it off from Viking culture.
Boom. So Vikings, bitch, in space.
One thing I almost forgot. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. One thing I do want to mention though, with that whole scene where DJ is like hung Hellraiser style, is splayed out with like his being disemboweled, and you guys were talking about, or I think Tim, you were talking about it. You said like how originally he was supposed to be like him with his guts hanging out or something.
Mhm.
Was that? Yeah. So it made me think of the movie The Cell.
Yeah, dude.
You remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Vince
one scene with the
Vaughn.
dude, he puts his intestines on that line with the hooks on it and starts like spinning it and pulling out his entrails
He
on the
puts
hooks.
Vince Vaughn's fucking
Travis.
yeah.
Travis.
Yes, Vince Vaughn, yes.
Man.
This is my nightmare fuel.
Yes.
He takes fucking Vincent D'Onofrio in Nightmare Regalia, puts Vince Vaughn's fucking goddamn intestines on a spindle and starts spooling it out while laughing like a demon. And little Travis is watching this movie in 2001 being like, oh no. And then, bro, I'm telling you right now, that fucking scene is
impacted you.
Yeah, big time. That's
core memory.
Shout out blood all the way down.
Shout out. Whoa, Ricky.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
it's deep. That's some deep cuts.
It's a
anyway,
deep cut. No big deal.
No big deal. All right. My bad.
All right.
No,
so overall, let's wrap this up. We have how entertained were we, which is the general public's 0 to 10 score, and then our total to get our average. So what was your entertainment level and your totals, guys?
Well, I'll start us off on this one because my score for the last segment was a 4. And no, I'm sorry, a 3. Yeah, because I kind of feel like Travis, like it, it's there, but it's not like the Beatles, even though it deserves to be bigger than them. How entertained I was, I'm going to go ahead and give that a 10 because I love this movie. I love watching it, faults and all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's just speaking my language. You know what I mean?
No.
We've already dug into all that. It's just speaking my language.
Yeah. Nightclub, cosmic horror as fuck. My total score from everything we did, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong. So I tallied up my score. I got a 30, and now I'm going by how it entertained me 0 to 10.
So you have a 30 so far. Yep. So throw in your 0 to 10.
It's a 10 as far as entertainment value goes. Like Ricky,
so your total's 40.
40. Yeah, like this is entertaining as all get out. I got qualms with different things, but like overall, will I sit down and watch this movie and just be happy that I'm watching this movie? Fuck yeah, dude. This movie's so fucking dope. It's amazing that it got made, even though we know that under the circumstances that it got made is not the best, but it's amazing that it got made regardless. This movie is fucking awesome. So my score is a 40. Fuck it.
Jonathan.
Mine also. Actually, mine's a 39 now that I've tallied everything up.
Well, I still have to tally up since I had to make changes, but as far as
Jonathan.
Oh, even with my changes?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right.
I've been keeping a live spreadsheet going.
Thank you. I just wrote it all down. Was like about to fucking calculate that shit. But no, overall though, because in consideration of how kick-ass it was and reminiscent of like other horror films and stuff, I think it kicks pretty hard at a good 8. Yeah.
Okay.
An 8.
And that brings your score to a 37. For me, the overall enjoyment factor is a 7. like I said, sci-fi horror is something I don't go to that often. I have to be in the right mood. And so that automatically kind of brings my enjoyment or my entertainment to down because it's not my thing for some reason. I love sci-fi, but sci-fi horror, I don't know. I can't tell you what it is about sci-fi horror that I don't gravitate towards. I just don't.
I'm sorry, Tim.
I enjoy the movie though. So it's a 7 out of 10, which brings it to a 35 for me. Altogether, the four of us average a 38 out of 50, which would put it in the great category.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right.
So,
Consensus.
So the way that works, what we do at the average is we're trying to consider if you have 6 people over at your house and you're looking for a movie to throw on, we took 4 different people's opinions of this movie and averaged it together to give you an idea of how that movie is going to go over with a crowd. So, and crowd for me is anything more than 2, but for some people, I guess that could be more. But that means for this film, if you've got a group that wants a horror movie that wants to just get messed up, this movie is probably going to be a great choice for you. It's going to be a 38 out of 50, or that would round up to 4 stars out of 5 if you do it that way.
Something good.
If I'm going to do it on the nightclub scale, I would give this movie like a 9 to a 9.5 out of 10. It's not quite a 10. It would probably be a nightclub 10. If we talked about it on the nightclub, it'd probably come out there.
We probably just throw 10s at it. Fuck
yeah, but honest rating tonight, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
It's
I tried to be objective.
This is not a perfect movie, but it's a great movie, and I think people should see it because it's got so much great imagery, a good story, good characters, great direction. The special effects are dated, but my God, man. Go back and look at that rotating fucking scene. Look at the airlock scene. Tell me that shit doesn't get your blood up, and you're lying if you say it doesn't.
The shot of space itself that we're seeing from outside, I was like, that looks like somebody else.
NASA shots are all composite CGI shots. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, I agree.
Hey, can I make a suggestion, Tim?
You can make a suggestion.
Okay. I would like to suggest that
Don't
you
tell
start.
me how to run my show.
Wait, what? I didn't. I'm sorry. I actually didn't hear you.
He said, "Don't tell me how to run my show."
Oh no! I'm gonna tell you about.
Who are you talking to, boy?
I'm gonna tell you.
You want some tater hard nuggets?
I'm gonna tell you how to run your life. I'm gonna suggest that you start watching sci-fi horror right instead of wrong.
Hey, Tim, have you ever seen The Cube?
Yeah, dude.
I love Cube.
Have not.
They made so many more after that. I think there were like 3 of them, maybe 4 of them.
There was 3 in a Japanese remake. Yeah.
I only saw the first one. And that's all I needed to see. The first one was fucking intense as shit. Not exactly sci-fi, but kind of sci-fi, but very terror, very suspense, very horror. Holy crap, dude.
That's
something I would definitely recommend if you're going to go down that vein.
It's so good.
Name the sci-fi horror movies I've seen. Ready? Event Horizon, Sunshine, Jason X.
Oh God!
Well, that's dope.
Yeah, Jason X is dope.
One of the greatest films of all time.
It's comedic to call it
in that film.
Space horror.
Alien.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Alien for sure.
And then Roger Corman's Galaxy of Terrors.
I don't think I've seen.
What about The Thing, man?
Dude.
Yes, The Thing. I was specifically thinking of movies in space.
Oh, I got you.
Leprechaun in space.
Yeah,
that movie's also a 10.
That movie is also very amazing. Leprechaun in space.
Leprechaun in space, bro. It was like the 4th one, I think. I was just like, damn it. What the hell? Why'd you have to ruin it for me?
It's so good.
Not that bad, though.
My boy went to space before he went to the hood. Wow.
Get it, Warwick Davis. Get it all over the place, bro. Great fucking actor.
Hell yeah.
Let's wrap this up. We'll keep the conversation going, but we're going to end the recording. So,
oh yeah,
Travis and Ricky, thank you for joining us to discuss Event Horizon. It's
Yes,
always
sir.
good to have you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us, guys. We had a blast.
Tim and Jonathan.
So weird.
Jonathan, it's very nice to meet you. I love your fucking amazing voice. Tim, you're my boy, and I love you to death. And thank you for having us on the show. Yeah. I love the Average Podcast.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you like my voice, I've got my own YouTube page. It's just my name, Jonathan Cusick. I do a lot of vocal cover stuff on Smule app stuff. I'm working on trying to put together a voiceover demo reel to see if I can get into some voice acting gigs.
Yeah.
No shit. That's
Hell
awesome.
Yeah.
I've been told for a long time I have a radio voice.
Hell yeah, dude.
People have
for sure.
that, so I've been meaning to do it. I just got to write some script up shit to read off and act on. So I'm trying to work that together. So if you want, check that out. Everyone listening, go there. Jonathan Cusick on YouTube. You know, you can read here, JOHNATHAN KUZYK. It's like music with a K. Cusick.
I will subscribe.
Ricky and Travis, you want to plug Nightclub?
Oh,
push it.
You got your Patreon.
Push
going?
it real good.
Nightclub. The bad boys of horror podcasting, the NWO, if
we
you
them
will.
heels.
Yeah. It's where horror comes to party, bitches. No. The Nightclub has been around for a long time, and
sipping lean and getting mean.
Ooh, all right.
We just like to have fun with everybody. You could follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, the Slasher app, Threads. If you're on Threads, we're on there. The best place is Instagram, it seems, but we also have a Discord community, which the Average has a page on. And I would encourage everyone to come on there.
Thanks for Travis.
Hell yeah.
Until the Average blows up big time and they get their own Discord.
Famous, bitches.
And then I'll be on their Discord and I'll be like, hell
yeah,
cuh.
I'll be in there with the memes.
I could ever figure out how to set up a Discord.
Nah, but dude, like I just like our friends, and I would just want everyone to blow up. I want everyone to blow up. I love all this shit.
I want to blow all of you.
I want to blow your buttholes. The Nightclub also has we're a podcast, so you can find us on any podcast app like Spotify, Apple, whatever you use. But we also have a fourth wall paid subscription platform where you could spend $5 a month and get extra content that's not horror, but horror adjacent, like myths and legends, true crime, fucking conspiracies, and macabre history. So we do that kind of shit over there. And we've been having a blast doing that.
We've been having a lot of fun, and
so much fun.
There's some other nerdy content coming up in there also. There might be some wrestling talk and some Dragon Ball and some 40K talk coming up also. So.
All right.
Oh, I also have a homemade hot sauce kind of thing I'm doing. It's called Hateful Amos. Instagram, hashtag Hateful Amos. So I got my own homemade hot sauce. Check that out. Yeah, whatever.
Nightclub's going to be doing a hot sauce coming up in the next year or two, baby. I love that.
Oh.
I love that. Dude, you're speaking my language, Mephisto.
Well, I'm working on a Texas heat recipe right now. I've already got the label for it. You can ask Tim. I was making this shit back in art school as part of my fucking portfolio project.
I remember Hateful Amos as soon as you
my chef skills.
As soon as you described your image, I knew exactly where that was from.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy.
Y'all are all our brothers, man. I love this. I love connecting with you guys. Thank you so much, Tim and Jonathan, for having us on your show. I just love this shit, man. I had a blast tonight talking about Event Horizon, and I'm glad that everybody enjoyed this movie, this cosmic fucking ridiculous Couillon horror movie.
Hell yeah, Bob.
Go check out our friends. And this movie this episode in particular wouldn't have happened without Travis, because my wife and I watched it and Travis was like, we got to do an episode. And so Travis, thank you. But this was a great time. Thank you guys. And as always with The Average, we want to hear from you. Head to our link tree in our Instagram. Fill out what you thought of the movie and contribute to that score. We came up with a score of 38. You add to that and that score is going to change. So your opinion matters. So fill that out. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Apple, Spotify, whatever. We'll see you on the next one.
Get it in there. Thanks for listening.
Namaste.